Welcome to the podcast where your next favorite story is already written in the stars.
We're your new book besties, April.
And Tay, here to get your book cravings started and satisfied.
Why?
Because around here, it's faded.
So grab your current read, maybe a cozy drink, and hide your TBR list because today we're talking audiobooks and our favorite narrators.
And I gotta say that audiobooks have helped me so much stay on top of my TBR list. When I became a mom, popping in some headphones was the easiest thing for me. And, most days I don't have time to sit and read my Kindle as much as I want anymore. So popping in headphones is the easiest way to go about it. I love talking about some audiobook.
I know. I always hate whenever I hear people saying, if you're listening to an audiobook, are you actually reading the book? And it's like, yes, you are still getting that story. You are still immersed in that world. In my opinion, and I know everybody's opinion is different, audiobooks count as reading. Like when I track my reading, I
Mhm.
include audiobooks that I listen to.
Yeah, I'm like, how else am I supposed to go through that many books? I know so many that hit their reading goals specifically because they listen to audiobooks. And I am a 1.75 speed read on
Ooh.
my audio. I can't listen to it any other way. And my husband's listened to it and he's like looking at me like I'm an insane person. He's like, how can you even get through a book? And then when they talk at one speed, I'm like, why are they talking so slow? That's so
Yeah.
weird. It's like that's what it feels like when I'm hearing a book. I gotta
Me too,
have it
yeah.
super
I
speed.
also can't listen to it slow. It has to be 1.75 or even on some audiobooks where I feel like it's really slow to begin with, I'll even go up to 2 because I just can't handle it. My brain, the ADHD will ADHD if it's too slow. And you know
It's
what that's
true.
like. I can't focus. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta have something that gets my attention. And honestly, maybe with them talking fast, it makes me have to focus more, because I have
Mhm.
to sit specifically. Because if it is going too fast, I miss something. So I have to kind of hone in on it. And I think it's good when
Yeah.
I'm cleaning, when I'm doing focus task and I have my book in and I'm sitting there and I'm like, she needs to climb that staircase and get to, I'm all in it. Like I'm
Right?
right there with her as I'm scrubbing toilets.
Yep.
So glamorous.
So glamorous. You're like on the parapet with Violet.
Yeah.
Scrubbing a toilet.
I'm there, it's right here. Meanwhile, I'm just,
Yeah.
on the kids' tub, just balancing to clean the shower, so
Truth.
but I am on the parapet.
You know what audiobook platform though, and they've kind of merged, I feel
Mhm.
like, with Audible, but graphic audio. So for
Yes,
listeners who have not heard of graphic audio, you're actually the first person who told me about graphic audio.
and I
That's
love
how I
their
learned about them.
outro. It's like, "A movie in your mind," is the way that it starts off. I'm like, "Vibe."
Yeah. It's so good. I love them now. If I can find a graphic audio version of a book that I want to listen to, that's the one that I'm going to pick every single time. They just really immerse you in the story. They have the
Yeah.
background sounds going on. They have if there's footsteps, if there's anything kind of
It's
external that's
super
happening.
thematic, very much you're in the scene, you hear the clinks of the swords. I love that they do
Mhm.
all that. Now, granted, my first glimpse of graphic audio was A Court of Thorns and Roses. They had the whole series,
Oh, I know what
and
you're
I
going to talk
loved it,
about.
but I literally am hearing, "Mm, mm, so sorry to our listeners. I know that was taken aback. I should have said, "Warning, I'm about to make some unpleasant sounds." But literally, it was hissy, and I was like, "Gasp."
Yeah.
But once you kind of work your way past that, and they've kinda toned it in, I've actually noticed, some of the more recent, they haven't done that as much. They're like, "Okay, we'll pull back on that, but everything else is free game."
Right. Also, the winnowing sound on the graphic
Oh,
audios for that one. I'm like, what is this
wasn't it like wind
2-bit
chimes?
magic
It was like,
sound? Yeah, it's awful, but in their defense, like you said, they have
Mhm.
really toned it back in their
Yeah.
more recent releases. I'm so excited they're doing Throne of Glass, and I cannot wait for those to come out. I'm gonna be sat for those.
It's gonna be hours of listening because I just think because they've released I wanna say that the 5th ACOTAR book, which is the thickest, was, 4 parts, and so I'm like, "Okay, Throne of Glass is a 8-book series." I think there's gonna be if my math is mathin', I mean, at times 2, we're looking at a minimum of 16 parts, so it's gonna take a hot
Mhm.
minute to get all of them, but I am so down to clown.
Yes, yes. And of course, we know the most popular audiobook platforms, graphic audio has kind of merged in with Audible. You can now find them on Audible. They used to have their own platform. I
Mhm.
honestly don't even know my login to that anymore. It's been so long. But Audible, we know she's there. She's been there for a long time. I have an insane between Audible library because my husband listens to Audible books, like, exclusively, that's how he does his reading, and so we have, I think, almost 200 titles in our Audible library, but it's not just
That's
all
awesome.
me, in my defense.
Like, it's not just me, he does read all these.
And it is expensive, so I get that for people who find
Ye
that to be
Yeah, and
hard.
I've been where I had Audible. I wanna say my mom used to get the Audible CDs
Mhm.
when they would have just, like, a CD that you could play. And specifically, I remember listening to Harry Potter and listening to Stephen Fry do the
Mm.
Harry Potter books, and let me tell you, immaculate. No one can do better. I've heard some of the other ones, they talk about doing them with the cast and stuff lately, and, like, cool, great, whatever, but Stephen Fry, immaculate when it comes to reading, and he gave such life to those characters, and him doing Creature and Dobby and having this whole back and forth. I just remember as a kid being like, so that was my first touch into audiobooks and my mom's deep love of Audible, so she got me into it. And then
Mm.
now it's unfortunate because you're right, it is expensive. It's so
Mhm.
expensive. And to me, I get it because we're paying almost the cost of a book. They're kind of losing out on that, like, that printed version of it, so they have to make it in some regard, but it's also like
So expensive though, yeah. But they do sales. So for
they
those
do.
who don't wanna pay the over I think it's like over 20 bucks a month now for Audible, they do sales every now and again. They just had one recently where you can just stack up for pretty cheap books. I'm more willing to pay $6, $7 for an audiobook than, anything else, so
And if you're a student, they also offer student discount, and I just signed up as a grad student, so
yay.
student
Hey,
discounting
but
for Audible.
what's free is Hoopla and Libby.
Yes.
Go to the library, folks. Go ask your
Yep.
libraries about Hoopla and Libby. I feel
Mhm.
like most libraries these days have Hoopla and Libby, or at least one or the
Yeah.
other, and they are fabulous.
They are, and they have a multitude of titles because it's depending on what your library wants to carry as well. So let's say you're borderline, you could be in 2 different counties, you can sign up in 2 different locations and then the books completely change. So that's kinda nice too if you have multiple libraries within your Hoopla or your Libby account, so you can alternate between, like, this library and that library. I'm in
Mhm,
central whatever library now, so then you can look and book you might have hold of or you're waiting for, you can go to another one and it's immediate. You can borrow it immediately. So
which is
definitely
so
highly
nice.
recommend if you have that ability to get to. There are some libraries too that let you sign up
Mhm,
online no matter what. I think like the Houston library, you don't have to live in Houston. You can sign up and then you can join their Hoopla account and then see all the books that they have.
shout out to libraries, we love you. I just
Yes.
went to my library twice last week. It is a fabulous place.
But also can we clarify April's child stole all her credits.
Yeah. Oh
So
my gosh.
once your child
That is the
starts reading, they
thing,
start
yeah.
stealing your credits.
Make sure you make them a separate account
Yeah.
because they will use all of your credits, yeah.
Yeah, because you do
Burned.
get credits. They give you, like, 3 a month or something that you
Mhm,
can use to check out, kinda like your typical library, and it's just digital. You can also, I know, stream on Spotify now, so if you have a Spotify premium account, it actually offers books. Now, the way Spotify does it versus your typical where you can do, like, 3 at a library, they do it by listening hours. So the unfortunate thing with Spotify is sometimes I've gone 5 books in and I don't know where I'm at, and literally pauses me mid-book, and it's like, "You get more listening hours on this date." And I'm like,
Mm.
so that is the unfortunate thing. I will, tread caution to our listeners when you are doing Spotify that, yes, when you first do your first audiobook, it'll be perfectly fine. You have plenty of listening hours, but it comes a point when you know you've gotten a couple, and then there's a chance that might happen. So I just wanna let y'all know that, and that is one unfortunate. And I have fell victim to having to buy more listening hours because I am too impatient and I have to know, or what I've done is see if it's on another platform and then I take it out from there. But then it feels kind of silly if I'm already, a quarter of the
Right.
way through the book or more than half.
The credit or anything on that.
So,
Yeah.
but it is an option. It is an option to listen on Spotify as well. So that's another platform. And if you're already paying for premium, you might as well partake in their book selection as well. Now,
Mhm.
we did want to give an honorable mention
Yeah.
to a latest and greatest. Now, this is not your typical book. Like, this is not going to be something freestanding that you can get and buy and tangibly read. There is an app called Quinn, and
Mhm.
their whole objective is that they do a book in your mind, but it's not a physical copy. they get all these big stars and they know how to pluck them. Let me tell you, if that person is hot, they pick them the next week and they're reading a Quinn book. They just had Dean and Allie from Off Campus on Prime. They just had them come up and read a duet style book. And the book is not something that you can purchase, but it's just something that they created. It's like a story in their mind. I've read some of them and they're really good. I can't remember his name, but he played the priest on Fleabag, and I love Fleabag. That is one of my favorite shows. They had him do one of those books. I was listening
Mm.
like, "Ah!" The entire time I was listening to his, like, buttery voice talking. Another thing too is you're the character in the book almost. So he's just like, "So how was your day?" "It was so good. I'm so glad you had such a good day." And I'm sitting there like,
He's talking to me.
it's talking to me and, like, telling about the day, but also, like, what's going on. It's like storytelling, but almost like you're the first character. So it's
Mhm.
kinda interesting in that regard. And, yeah, I just
Hmm.
really honorable mention to Quinn because 'cause they're kinda changing the game a little bit. They're getting people into reading by doing the storytelling, but, they're not really, like, book
Yeah,
carrier, so I like it.
that's cool. I like that. I'm gonna check them out. Tell me though, because you listen to a lot of audiobooks. Now, I do too. I
Mhm,
will admit my audiobook listening has kind of dwindled. I just find it really hard. It's easier for me with my job to read on my phone, and I always
mhm.
forget my headphones. I'm one of those people. I can't find anything anywhere. But we do have some favorite audiobook narrators here. Who do you think is your top favorite, or is that too hard to pick?
I have a top favorite. He's actually our top of our list. I think it's just because I have heard him so much. I believe his government name is Zachary Weber.
Yes.
His audiobook name is also that, but it's also Jacob Morgan. So
Yes.
this man carries two identities, okay? And that is something in the book community that's notorious. It's the same person, and I
Mhm.
think when he started to get into, and that's what he used as a pseudonym, well, then people found out what he did, and then he just gradually adopted the other one, but then he couldn't drop the second one. So it's
Yeah.
ironic, but he still uses both. So I think that is so funny.
I feel like I've sat in a panel too with audiobook narrators, and they were talking about like how some of them use alternate names because they also don't want to saturate the market with their name too. And I'm like, well, we know it's your voice, like
Yeah, like
especially your
we
favorites.
we pick up on that. We pick up on it
Yeah,
so well, and he does a plethora. I
so
wrote down
many.
some of his. He does Elle Kennedy, all of her series, Elsie Silver, so if you love Wild Card and those books, he does those. Abby Jimenez books. He's done A.L. Jackson, he's done Kennedy Ryan, he's done Sarah Kate, he played the priest, he's done Anna Huang in the Kings of Wrath series, and he also did
Mhm.
Nessa Allen book on Lights Out, and let me tell you, I told this to April. We were sitting in the car and I said, "This is the funniest, like, just book I have heard. It is so funny." I, like, played the scene of and I all of our book listeners, if you have not heard the scene, it is so funny and it is just worth a listen. The personality that Zachary Weber gives to this character is unbelievable. So, like, this character wakes up out of his bed and also, mind you, he's a stalker. Or well, they're kinda both. Anyways, he, like, posts his body online and has his masked face and everything, but he, like, literally raises up and he's like, "Oh my god, I've gone blind." And it's because he has his mask still on, and he has a whole thing about, like, thinking his retinas is torn and, like, this he goes through this whole spell, and then she's like, "You have your, baklava on backwards," and he goes, "Baklava?" And he's like, "Baklava is a delicious dessert, blah, 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 blah." And this baklava is my mask wearing die. Like, the whole I don't do it justice. It's just he does it so well,
And he
and
does it
he's
like in
just
a Batman voice
yes.
too.
And okay, so another thing to Zachary Weber is I've actually met him. I was
Mhm.
at Book Bonanza and I sat in on the panel section where they did a narrator improv. And let me tell you, if you are wanting to attend a book conference, if there's any other one you could attend and they have a narrator one, sit on the narrator one. It is so entertaining. They know entertainment, they know what gets the readers going, they know we're used to their voices. But what was funny in this narrator improv is they were giving them lines from the book to read, but they had to do it in, like, different accents. So they had a wheel, and they spun the wheel, and the wheel spun through all these different accents. It gets to Zachary Weber, okay, and they have him do it in the Swedish chef style of a scene priest by Sarah Kate. And so He's reading like, "Get on your knees," but he's like, "Get on your knees," and I died. And they'd have one talk in Russian and one talk in Elmo voice. It's like, "Elmo wants to." I'm like, "Dude." I was dead died. So good. 10 out of 10 recommend. But that is one of my favorite memories from going to one of those book conferences is doing the narrator improv and, like, hearing them do all these impersonations and just having a ball. It was just
Yes.
so entertaining and
Fun. I love that so much. And another really popular audiobook narrator is Shane East. Now, I feel like
Mhm.
he has been in a million and one audiobooks as well. The one that I chose was Throne of the Fallen just because it's a Carrie Maniscalco book. I love her books. It's like the spin-off series from her Kingdom of the Wicked series. So he did that one. He has done so many too, because he's been around a really long time. I feel like a lot of people would recognize Shane East's voice, just like Zachary.
another person that I was looking at, she's still up and coming, so she's a smaller, but, Hagen McGrath. I actually follow her on TikTok and really find her entertaining, so she's actually has a book coming out with Anthony Palomini, who we'll talk about in a second, but she was so excited about getting to read a book with him, and it was the precious thing, the fact that she was so excited just to be a part. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I get to read with him, and, they hired me to do this." She's giving behind the scenes, but then she's, giddy like all of us and listening to
Mhm.
these people. She's like, "I listen to other books of these," but she has a good one. It's called Twins of Fire, and it's a dark fantasy book. That one is a really good read. She gets so excited, and it's just fun to see her behind the scenes of what it's like to record in a studio. So I definitely recommend if you're kind of wanting to see what that's like, she's a good one to follow on that platform because she can kind of give you an inside scoop. So if you're still hesitant on listening to audiobooks, hers is an interesting one to watch because she talks about how they record, how many hours they record, all of those things. And then that might give like a deeper kind of purpose if you're not like huge on maybe listening to books. That might kind of give you your insight. So definitely
Right.
recommend her. But Anthony Palomini, we all have listened to. He's done a lot of books, but
Mhm.
Quicksilver
He's
was one.
Kingfisher.
Oh, yeah. And I know you liked that one.
Yes, Quicksilver is such a good book. Callie Hart did such a great job on that for her first kind of true step into romantasy. It's a great series, really popular. We're gonna hope book 3 pulls it through, but that is a different topic for a different day.
We won't talk
But
about
he
Brimstone.
We will not, but we will appreciate his voice
Yes.
in Quicksilver and Brimstone because he did a fabulous job. And also just because we're talking about that book in particular, which I think is a really great
Mhm.
audiobook. Just it's regular. I don't even know. There might be a graphic audio for it, but I listen to it just regular audiobook form.
Mhm.
Stella Bloom also narrated in Quicksilver. So she is the female perspective on that book. And I feel like they were a really good duo for those books. They did a
I
great job.
I if there is an author out there and they ask you, "Do you wanna duet narration?" Please do it.
Mhm.
So many books that I've read that are even, one point perspective from the female the whole book, but then when the guy scenes come up and you can actually have a guy voice, I love it so much more. There are some, audiobook narrators who are female that can do a good guy voice, and I can kinda look past it, but duet narration really, to me, solidifies a book audio because then it kinda gives it even just more depth. Like, it just really
Agreed.
adds that character, and I can really kinda picture it a little more. So I definitely highly recommend if it's something that, like, a publisher like, I don't even know how that conversation starts, but if it's duet or no duet, I'm gonna say
We wanna
duet
do
all
it,
the
yeah.
way.
And if it's somebody who has an accent, like, try to find there's so many
Mm,
narrators out there. Try to find somebody who has an accent that is similar to that. I love when I read even romantasy books on audiobook or even if
mhm,
it's a historical romance and they do an accent, not just an American
mhm.
accent, but an actual accent to the story. I feel like it's so much more immersive if it makes sense to that story. So,
Yeah, I think in the Ever King series, I'm not
yeah.
sure who does that one, but he has a very deep, I almost want to say Scottish accent, but it kind of fits. He's a sea captain, it just makes the book have that much more depth. Try and find someone that maybe either specializes in that accent or is from there. But I mean, if they're
Right.
really good at the accent, go for it. It couldn't be me.
Exactly.
I could not do. Don't ask me to be in a Jane Austen book. I could not do it.
No.
I'm
They're
so
like, "Get out
sorry.
of
I
here."
love our UK listeners. That was horrible. You can banish me to the
You can
stockade.
you have to stay in the US forever.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a good payoff. That is
Uh,
appropriate punishment.
The next one I wanna talk about, and I wanna talk about the audiobook itself, but I do wanna shout out this narrator, particularly Teddy Hamilton, who does Zated and Fourth Wing. He also did Cruel Prince by Ashley Jade, which obviously both fantastic books. Fourth Wing is obviously a little bit more popular probably than Cruel Prince, but I have to say just kudos to him. He did a great job. For my people who know OG Fourth Wing audio, I like to call it the audiobook of doom, which sounds dramatic, but I have a story about this, okay?
Mhm.
Fourth Wing had just released. I had just gotten my Fourth Wing and I started reading it on a physical copy. And it happened to be at a time when we were going to travel. We were going to go on like an 8-hour car ride. And so my husband, who also listens to audiobooks, was like, well, let's pick out some audiobooks and we'll listen to the audiobook on the way. And I'm like, fabulous. I'm 100 pages into this book. I'm digging it. Like, let's listen to this audiobook. And he's a team player, right? Because he listens to books that I really push for. He's much better than me in that terms. He listens to books that I'm really passionate about. So he's like, okay. So we get this audiobook. We're driving along, okay, and we're listening to it at the beginning of this audiobook. Now, this is the OG recording. I do believe they have since gone back and re-recorded this audiobook,
They
but
have.
we're driving along and I hear the female narrator, and I'm not gonna call her out. I don't even know what her name is, but it starts to sound kind of like snotty. It just sounded to me like she was sick. And I was like, well, maybe the character is sick because oh, she has a chronic illness. Like maybe this is a gimmick, right? Maybe this is a part of it. But then I was like, but that doesn't really make sense because the book's not saying anything about her having head cold symptoms, you know? And then I don't even know. I don't even think we made it an hour into this book. And there is like, you can hear all the fluids from her body just exiting her face. Like, I don't know how else to describe this. And it was awful. And I am not somebody who is easily grossed out by that stuff. My husband looked at me. He's like, she's sick. Why is she recording this audiobook if she is sick? And I was like, I don't know.
And
And you could hear where they had obviously must have realized she was sick recording this and they tried to patch it. So it would be like random patches of just like a line or two that were cut in where she wasn't sick, but then like she gets sick again after that. And I was like, this is disgusting. We literally turned it off. I returned the audiobook and I just remember seeing the reviews on it when I returned it. I was like, this is disgusting. I'm so sorry. But also, can you guys Red Tower, you guys are a company that is huge. You can afford to go back and re-record this. And so it was so gross. And just there were so many reviews, hundreds and hundreds of reviews being like, I had to return the book. I couldn't listen to this. She is ill. Why would you do this? So, to any people who want to be an audiobook
I
narrator, please
yeah,
do not record stuff when you are seriously ill. And I
yeah.
understand what I think is probably a time constraint happened, but like we could have found somebody else or something or waited. I don't even know. It was awful. And I do think that they've gone back and replaced it since. Because when I was telling somebody else about this, they're like, really? It sounded fine to me. And I was like, oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah. No, I remember I had literally it was still the same. I had checked it out and I had messaged you and you were like, "No, don't." And I
Yeah.
was like, "What?" I used a Hoopla credit on it and I was like,
Yeah.
"What? I can't listen to it." And you're like, "No, it's so bad." And then I listened and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't listen to
Yeah.
this the whole time." And then I was bummed because I wasted a whole credit. I didn't actually end up listening to Fourth Wing. I only ever read the physical book.
Yeah.
And so I kind of need to go back because I would love to see what the new one sounds like. But yeah, I completely
Yeah.
was like, "Oh no,
Oh,
I can't listen to this." It
that's
was
so
bad.
cringe.
There's
I felt really
honestly
bad for the girl too, like, who narrated it. Obviously,
well,
she felt probably some contractual obligations to do it, but at the same time, I was like,
I would say all
"No."
of us deserve work-life balance, and if you're sick, you're sick.
I now have to just physically read those books
I
because,
still
yeah,
think
every
it's, like,
time I think of that.
ultimately very romantic, though, you listen to audiobooks with your husband. The book doesn't have to be, like, a romance in regard, but just the fact that y'all can listen to a book
Mhm.
together, that to me is just very sweet, very
Shout out
romantic
to he's
that
great.
y'all can yeah, that y'all can, like, sit and enjoy a book together. Another person that I wanted to mention, another female that I enjoy listening to, she's done a ton of books. I'm gonna talk about her most popular, but Maxine Mitchell. She has done
Mm.
the Ravenhood series. Now, I would say this is very popular, but also very controversial of a book series.
Those are by Kate Stewart, right?
They are. They are by
Mhm.
Kate Stewart, and I read them. To me, it wasn't very controversial. Other people, it is very controversial. There's a lot of love triangles that are occurring. At one point in the first book, there's a throuple thing happening, and you're like, "What in the world?" But then you're like, "Who is she gonna pick?" Then she picks and then I don't wanna spoil something that happens, but anyway, she ends up picking this other guy, and people are gonna witch hunt for me, but I liked Tobias. Oh my gosh, so many people are gonna, like, hate that. I'm gonna totally get burned online for that, but I like Tobias. He was a Frenchman, and, like, the accent and stuff when I was listening to this book, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, hot. I love it." I was into it, and then some people are like, "Ugh, how could she? Oh, no, her other love interest." I'm like, "Shut up and take it." Like, I like him. So, anyways, there's gonna be a whole lot of people that are gonna be so upset with me for that. So, I'm so sorry, but feel free to tell me why the other ones are better. I'm willing to listen. I just ultimately won't agree with you, but you can tell me all about it, and I would love to hear it. So, that one,
Right.
I definitely love her version of those books. Another person I wanted to mention was Aiden Snow. He is also one of those
Yes.
ones that we've met at Book Bonanza, and I really like his deep voice and everything.
He also gives off great vibes.
Yeah, he just gives
Yeah.
off, "I'm fun." He totally talks about his kids and stuff. He's like good dad energy. He's
Mhm.
also entertaining on TikTok. So if you want to like watch him do readings of things and whatnot, he gets all flustered too. And I love that too when the guys are reading a thing and they're like, I'm like, oh yeah. I wonder if there's ever a moment when they just get so hot and bothered when they're listening to something. They're like, hold on,
Hold
let me
on.
be right back. Like I couldn't. I've read some stuff sometimes where I'm like
It's getting
gonna
hot
start
in here.
I know I gotta start fanning myself. I can't imagine being the one having read it, or I've seen where they have, like, some of them Anthony Palomini, for example, has already done his parts, and they're listening to him read, and then you have to do yours. I would be like, because it sounds like he's reading to you.
Uh,
If I was a narrator, I'd be like,
right.
"Me?"
Fangirl moment.
Yeah, totally fangirl moment. I could not do it. Okay, so we're researching for this episode and I'm like looking up all the different books that they've done and, et cetera. And I come across Aiden Snow and I filtered it by newest to oldest so I could see what was coming. And he has a new one coming out. Now, granted, his best book series that I've really enjoyed is The Crown of Nyaxia by Carissa Broadbent.
Mhm.
He does the guy narration in that and love it, love him. Such a good pick for those books. But there's a new LJ Shin book coming out,
Ooh.
okay? Let me give you this lineup because it is not just duet narration. No, no. It is full cast, okay? So the book that is coming out is Fallen Rook, and I think it
Which
follows
is
like
a
her.
male.
Okay, let me give you this male lineup, okay? All right, it's male and female, but we have Corvin King, we have Anthony Palomini, Lucy Rivers, Lila Winters, Stella Bloom, Stephen Dexter, Teddy Hamilton, Jason Clark, who he was almost on my list, and Aiden Snow. It's like,
Wow. That's gonna be a
what?
killer audio.
Anthony Palomini, Stella Bloom, Teddy Hamilton, Aiden Snow, all these people that we literally have on our list. I don't even
Wow.
want to know how much that cast was.
So
But
much.
yeah,
That's where all the book budget probably went.
Fallen Rook is the 3rd in a series, I think.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it a
like
separate?
Bad Bishop, Twisted Pawn, then Fallen Rook, I do
Okay,
believe.
I need to
Yeah.
read all of them now because I'm like, if
Yeah.
that's the lineup on the 3rd, I gotta listen to it because that's too many good audiobook readers that I love in one book. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 just from the casting. So good job,
From the
LJ
casting period,
Shin.
yeah.
I give you all the props. We said earlier, if you can afford to do it, man, if you could afford a whole cast, do it, baby. She
Yes.
she's like, I'm gonna get all of them. So
I love that so much. Yeah, I usually just read her books physically, but I, hands down, will probably pick up the audio book version of that because there are
yeah,
some
I can't even
excellent
like
audio narrators on
look at that
that.
list. I'm like, that's
It's
crazy.
huge. My goodness.
Too
Okay, I
good.
have to give an honorable mention out. Now, this is
Okay.
not like a direct romance book. Is there romance in it? Yes. It is an incredible story. It is my husband's actually favorite book of all time, even though he will say that he hates the author because he's doing what George R. R. is doing and has
Oh,
not finished the series. But it's The Name of the Wind. It is narrated by Nick Podell, and I will tell you, it is probably one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. He is so immersive in that story. So for people who've listened to this book or have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. This is an intense book. There is a lot going on and it's very storyteller driven. The main character is telling you the story of his life. So it's very poetic. You just feel like you're watching a movie, just even reading the book physically. And so to hear it narrated out is absolutely magical. And Nick did such a great job with this book. Even though it's not direct romance, I had to give a shout out because it is a fabulous book and also fabulous narrator.
There are so many books that we have listened to, but I do think there is one that usually sticks in your mind, kinda like
Mhm.
me with Stephen Fry and reading the Harry Potter
Yeah.
novels. They are not romantic, they are definitely YA, but you cannot change in my mind that that is not the perfect person for those novels because it was phenomenal. It was so
Yeah,
good. So,
there
I
are
mean,
some
I've
seriously talented people out there. Wow.
yeah. I picture this for us. I do not picture audiobook narration.
Audiobook narration, no.
But if some author is listening to this and you want us to read your book, we will for sure do it on this show.
We know our limitations.
Yeah. No, I am not meant to be in a booth and I cannot have Anthony Palmini in my ear because I will get nothing done.
Yeah, this is true.
Let's be real.
All right, besties, that's it for today's episode.
Make sure to follow, download, and share our podcast socials with other book besties. We would love to hear about your audiobook recommendations, and please leave a comment on your favorite platform letting us know.
Join us next week where we talk about book playlists and where we create book playlists to match our lives.
And remember,
We're glad you're here because
it's faded.